Hi everyone, it's Isabella here and welcome back to another episode on the podcast, formerly known as Angel Talk, now known as the I've Got You podcast. Today's video is so important. I'm very excited to talk about it. So I have honestly gone through such a really crazy, I think, journey of looking at the topic of mindset changes. I've actually realized that there's many belief systems that have mindset changes, things that are going to change your life, right? Now, some of them I think are genuinely dumb and aren't going to help you at all. Okay. Like there's some things that are way too out there, unrealistic, kind of feed into the hustle culture, that kind of stuff, right? And so I was like, why don't I talk about mindset changes that actually help me out, that are genuinely good for you, that aren't illogical, that aren't stupid, that have genuinely changed my life and helped me out a ton. Realistic perspectives. Now, you guys know on this podcast and my channel, we literally go into many things in a realistic way. We are going to be going through several different mindset changes that I made that were quite literally transformative and changed my life for the better and have genuinely helped me throughout my entire journey, from healing to my job, every area of my life. These have truly helped me out. And these are the ones that I stick to. The first thing I want to dive into though is we need to talk about what is a that girl mindset. So this is kind of a little bit around the concept of that girl. And I think this has been a very trending topic of being that bitch, that girl, all that. And now I get it, right? Everyone wants to be the it girl of their own world, right? Their it girl of their story, the best version of themselves. When I think of an it girl, I think of being that bitch that literally knows that they are everything and more, that they are confident, they're secure in themselves, and you're always developing in a way that's healthy and progressing when it comes to a healing journey, for example, learning from your mistakes. I love that. I think that's amazing. Perfect definition of it girl. I know the topic of it girl has kind of trended very differently throughout the years, of whether that's someone that's like ridiculously hot or looks a certain way or maybe has a specific routine. But when I think of an it girl mindset, this is the kind of mindset and changes that actually work and that I personally consider someone who is that girl to have. First shift for your mindset is self-validation over external validation. Now, I don't know if many of you guys realize it or not, but I think every one of us have had a moment where we were chasing external validation. Now, I know this sounds really bad, but stick with me here. So when it comes to external validation, I think some of us kind of jump into this mode of, I want to be perceived in a really, really good way. I think this starts even when we are in grade school. We're really young and we want everyone around us to like us. And so when someone doesn't, maybe if someone doesn't want to be our friend, maybe if someone doesn't vibe with us the way that we want to, all of a sudden we have this urge to please them. Even this stems from maybe your parents, right? I want my parents to be proud of me. I want my family. Maybe you are dating finally, and then you have that validation of, I want my person to be proud of me. Now, not every single bit of external validation is bad. Just need to make that very clear. However, I know that some people have a little bit too much of a dependency on validation from everyone else because you're too focused on how people perceive you. And a huge mindset change, in my opinion, is getting rid of a ton of that. Okay. So a really big example of what I've done with external validation that was not really the healthiest is I was way too focused on what other people thought of me. If I saw a hate comment, it's like it was the end of the world. I remember, and this was years ago when I first started my content creator journey, but I remember I would get amazing comments all the time. I got one bad one and I felt like it was the end of the world. And then all of a sudden I literally would look at that one comment and it was like, oh my God, I need to do this. I need to change this. Maybe they're right. Maybe I am not good enough. And then I was like, I'm sorry. What the fuck am I doing? Like, that's genuinely so stupid. I have thousands of people who think I'm really doing great and are super proud of me. And then I have one goofy bitch with no profile picture, right? Saying the most mean shit to me. And all of a sudden I need to change for fucking username 024. No, I'm literally not doing that. Like, that's so dumb. But I noticed that anytime that I would get something that was like negative or mean, I would immediately like freak the fuck out. And I was like, oh my God, this is such a problem. Or when it comes to external perspectives, I didn't realize this, but with how people perceive me, I cared so much to the point of where I would fit into a specific aesthetic or I would act a specific way. I would like soften my voice. I wouldn't talk the way that I do now on camera. I changed myself so much to the point of where I wasn't who I know deep down I was, right? I wasn't the person where if I was really comfortable, you would hear me being more vocal, loud, and hear my natural voice, right? You wouldn't hear those things because I was too concerned about how I was to be perceived. And after a while, I was like, all right, we've got to stop caring so damn much about what other people think of you, Bella. Like, we really need to rewire our noggins right now. I went out of my way to genuinely try and do a little thing that I preach a lot on this channel and podcast. I went out of my way to be like, okay, let's break down our thoughts over why it's so important for us to give a shit about what someone else thinks of us. So if I have a random hateful comment, right? Okay, are they in a position where there's somebody I would listen to, right? Are they a logical person that I would want to listen to? Are they friends? Are they family? Are there people that are giving constructive criticism that you should evaluate, right? If there's someone that have your best interests at heart and are trying to guide you better or correct you, that's a different story. 2, if someone doesn't like what I'm doing, is it the end of the world? No, it's not. It quite literally is not. We do another lap around the sun. The world does not stop. So the world is not going to end for me if what somebody is saying to me is negative and I don't like it. Okay, big fucking whoop. Somebody is going to like peaches and I might not like peaches. I mean, I do, but you get the vibe. Someone is gonna like wearing plaid all the time, and I might not like plaid all the time. Somebody might have an opinion on handling a situation one way, and I might have an opinion a different way. That does not mean shit. At the end of the day, we're human beings that are entitled to those opinions. It doesn't fucking matter. So that was my second thing. Truly evaluating what somebody is saying, and is the world gonna end if someone perceives me in a way that is not like 100% perfect to me? You are never gonna make everyone happy. And the quicker that you realize that you cannot please everybody, the happier you're going to be. If you genuinely stop giving a fuck as much about what other people think of you, you're going to feel so much better. The world is not going to end. It's not that deep. And unless there's somebody that's genuinely trying to help you, that cares about you and your well-being, is giving you good constructive criticism, like it's not that deep, right? The world's not going to end. And if you can't make everyone happy, then why are you going to fight so hard for external validation? Like, you don't need to do that. And this goes for everyone, right? This can go for your parents. If they're overly judgmental, is it hard? Absolutely. But you don't need to please them. You are one individual that has one life. You should not be focusing on however many years you have left on this planet, making other people happy. Make you happy. This is your one shot. Now, another example of this that I kind of like try to remind myself of, this is kind of silly, but I think of like life as a video game. I've heard this analogy a billion times, I know, but the concept of the video game, right? If you're playing a video game, if you're playing any game, you're not going to play according to how someone else wants you to play. It's your world. So if you're in like a Barbie dress-up game, oh my God, I used to love those. You're going to do it how the fuck you want to. You're not going to care what anyone else thinks. You're going to goof off. You're going to have fun. You're going to try things. You're going to mess around a little bit. And it doesn't matter because it's a game. You need to have that perspective with your life right now. As long as you're not harming or hurting anyone, have at it. Get into it, man. Like, test things. Wear some interesting stuff that might not be considered the norm. Goof off as if your life is a video game. The problem is we don't have multiple lives or refreshers. You only have one shot at this. So if you're going to get on the best game ever and play it, you're really not going to give a rat's ass what anyone else thinks. Now that we've already covered that, how do we get it to where we think more about how we feel about ourselves? That is something I really need to talk about. Is we need to work on perceiving ourselves as someone to be listened to. And I think that stems from confidence and maybe things that we grew up in. Being proud of how you see yourself and value that more. I think you need to really start perceiving yourself as someone of importance. Really. And the only way that I can say this is you are the mayor of your own life. You are the person that has control of everything. You are the person who has to live with you for the rest of your life. This sounds so cheesy, but it's true. You are the person that needs to approve things that you do. You are the significant person. You should give a shit about how you feel about you. And that is who you should be focusing on the most. I would not really care as much about other people's external validations of you because, quite frankly, many of them are trying to figure out their own life as well. Many of them are still learning. Many of them don't have it all figured out. And if you constantly keep focusing on people that aren't even in good places in their life right now, they aren't even giving you constructive criticism, they're just miserable little assholes, or they're just people in general that you so desperately want to please, you gotta let that go. You need to be more focused on pleasing yourself. Those are my tips for mindset shift number 1. Mindset shift number 2, we are all unique beings and we really gotta start embracing that. I have had a very sad realization. Now, this is gonna be hard to talk about because I wanna balance not sounding like a judgmental bitch, but I have no judgment on surgery, plastic surgery, fillers, anything. Do whatever you want to do. There's some things I want to do, right? I have sadly seen, though, I feel like there's a lot of people that are so zoned into looking a specific way that everyone's starting to kind of become a little bit similar. And I'm seeing that in kind of the content creator space space. And this might be just a perspective that I have, but I'm noticing some people are so intimidated by their uniqueness and for that uniqueness to not be perceived as beautiful that they want to so badly fix it. Otherwise, they don't think that the uniqueness is wonderful. And that really breaks my heart, right? Because I was actually thinking about that today because I personally believe I'm a very attractive person. I do. No one can fucking tell me otherwise. I think I'm hot as hell. But there's some things I'm a little insecure of. Like my under eyes have always bothered me. If I turn certain ways, right, they're kind of inset. And I do want to fix that someday. Or maybe my nose or my teeth. Like there's just little details. And then I was thinking some of this shit though is like, it makes sense for me. It looks like me. That is who I am as a person. Or maybe the way I talked, right? For the longest time, I actually would like soften myself up a ton on social media. I would try so hard to become this version of what I thought was good online. So I would be more soft. I'd be more quiet. I'd be more timid. And in reality, that's not who I fucking am. Like I am so far from soft and timid and introverted. I am not that gentle bitch. And I realized that even as I was self-discovering that there's many people who have that perspective of their little unique quirks and things that they have about them, whether it's physical, maybe it's their personality. Some people want to hide that so badly because they fall into that fear of being perceived negatively. But some people don't consider it as a beautiful part of them. I have so many different friends of mine who have such amazing, unique characteristics about them that I love. And I would be so sad if they weren't there anymore, like with their personality, the way they talk to me, etc. And when I see that, I'm like, damn, I need to start perceiving myself in that way about how all these little fun things about me, they're unique and fun. I don't need to tone them down. This is cool about me. So what I'm talking about really is the mindset shift number 2 is focusing on your flaws or uniqueness, if you will, and start perceiving them as characteristics that are unique to you and start learning to fall in love with them. This was something I really started trying to zone into when I was going through that really big shift several years ago with my healing journey. I realized that I hated so many little details about me due to previous like relationship trauma, due to thinking that society standards and beauty standards was the only way I could be beautiful and attractive. I knew it was wrong, but it was hard for me to let go of the fact that I did not like certain parts of me. And it's devastating, right? It's honestly devastating to think about it. So the way that I tackled it is honestly, and I've talked about this several times before, the way that I tackled it was I tried to pretend that when I pointed out these little negative things about me, and if I was like being super harsh, it wasn't, constructive criticism, it was me being a dick to myself. I had to be like, imagine telling that to your younger self. Like imagine looking at that 5-year-old version of you and saying those things. There is no way on this damn green earth you would ever be saying that shit to your younger self if she was, they were right in front of you right now. There's no way y'all would be doing that. You would be like, oh my God, I would never say that to them. My point exactly. So why are you saying that to you right now? Why are you demonizing the fun little quirks about you? Those are what make you unique and fun. Humans are so unique and cool. And I think that's amazing. Having that fun little thing about you that someone's like, that's so-and-so. That's a cool little thing so-and-so has. Honestly, I hope that when people come across me like, yeah, that's something about her that is different or unique, that stands out, that I love about this person, that makes sense for this person. And you don't want to get rid of all of those quirks or unique characteristics about you, all because society has set a new standard for the fucking billionth time in a row that is honestly unrealistic. Because I feel like I repeat myself sometimes on this, but as I've said before, if society's beauty standards and standards in general keep changing and society can't even keep up with itself because it's constantly ever changing and shifting, then what the hell makes you think as a human being that you can keep up with that? It's unrealistic. So you need to do some inner work and healing, and it's going to take a lot. It's easier said than done, but this shift needs to be happening where you start perceiving the little uniqueness about you as fun little characteristics, fun little pieces of you that make you who you are as an individual. Your face, your existence, your characters have so many stories coming together that you don't even realize. I think that's beautiful. And I also think we need to start perceiving ourselves as works of art. We all have our stories. We all have little features that come from family members, experiences, our personality quirks, the way that we behave. I think that's unique and beautiful. We have got to start loving that. And that mindset change has helped me to really start embracing every little fun detail detail about myself, and it has made me more confident. Shift number 3. This one is very important. Knowing when to say no. Oh my God. I love this one. And I think we need to practice it more. There's way too many people that do not practice the art of saying no. And that breaks my heart. I used to be one of them, right? And I still have my people pleasing tendencies here and there. Like there's some times where I'll get super anxious of like, fuck, what if someone like doesn't like that I say that? And I'm like, okay. And what did we talk about at the beginning? The fucking world does not stop spinning. Everyone keeps going to work. You still have to pay bills. The world does not stop. If you tell someone no, who gives a rat's ass? I think people need to practice being selfish more. I don't like how people labeled the term selfish as such an awful thing because it's not. It's literally not. It's trying to make sure you're taking care of yourself. I don't think that's bad. I think there's some times where some people can be a little too selfish. Of course. I think there's so many people in our society that aren't really doing it enough in a healthy way, not focusing on the healthy aspects of being selfish. So if you are constantly being used, for example, by a friend, let's, play hypotheticals here. If you're being used by a friend and they are constantly doing things that you do not like, and you have not gotten the confidence to say no, you're exhausting yourself doing services and giving things to that friend and energy, and they might not even be returning that favor. So a wonderful example of when we should say no is when someone is taking advantage of our time and not actually being good to us. So you guys know, sometimes you may or may not have had a friend that's kind of like an energy leech, right? Just drains you. It's not really a good person, kind of toxic, really fucking mean. It's just, like gets jealous of you, like that kind of shit. The very typical OG toxic friend, okay? And you don't have the capacity to say no to them yet. You deserve better than that. And that's why I need you to fall onto every time you get nervous and anxious of telling somebody no about something. Whether you're uncomfortable, whether you just don't fuck with whatever's happening anymore, you deserve to be able to say no, and you deserve better. So if, the alarm bells are going off, if the red flags are going off, or you simply just don't fucking want to, you can say no. Now, if you struggle with saying no, start small. If you struggle with how to phrase it, start writing in your notes app on your phone of, oh, hey, if this happens and I don't want to do it, here's my go-to response so I can say no easily. So it's a copy and paste to a text, or I can look and I know exactly what I'm going to say. I know that might sound really silly, but for those of you who are like really struggle with saying no, I get it. I've been there. It's really scary, but it's so much easier when you practice and have a little bit more of a cheat sheet, if you will, to guide yourself on how to say no. But you should say no more. You should turn down things. You should say no if you want to stay in bed and you don't want to go out that night. You should say no to that really toxic friend. You should say no to that date where you just immediately can tell you're not going to vibe with that guy, because boundaries are important and boundaries protect you. And the more that you work on your boundaries and the more that you say no, it's going to change your life. The more that I started being firm and saying, these are my boundaries, this is not something I'm comfortable with, and just flat out saying no and using no as a full sentence, which it is, I felt so much better. I felt in so much control. And I also gained more confidence in me declining something that I did not approve of or like. So this next one, number 4, this is the art of resilience and more a different positive thinking. What I like to call it though specifically, and what I do is freak the fuck out and then figure it out. So picture this. I've been in very bad situations before. I have been in situations where I thought the world was going to end. I've been in bad relationships. I've been in scary financial situations. I've been in a plethora of awful situations and circumstances. And one thing I pride myself on is always figuring it out and always having the belief in myself that I can figure it out. I know that there's a very weird toxic perspective in our society where they don't want you to think of the negatives. They're like, no, don't have negative thinking. Only think positively. That's violently stupid. We're not doing that. What I do works a billion times better. You need to allow yourself to kind of freak out for a second. What I just said, freak the fuck out, then figure it out. I will tell my friends and family, I'm like, hey, if I'm venting to you, I need to freak out. I need to let it out. I need to be mad about it. I need to feel those feelings fully. And then once I'm done, I am going to figure it the fuck out. Whatever that situation is, it's happening and I'm going to be good. So I have my time, right? I have my time to be angry, to be stressed, to be nervous, to let all of my feelings out. I will write down the things that I'm overthinking of. I will write down my fear. I will do everything. I'll be pissed. I'll cry. I'll let it all out. I will feel my emotions fully, which is extremely important if you're going through things. And then after that, I'm like, all right, I let it out. Let's figure it the fuck out. And then I will make a game plan. I will write down what I'm going to do to tackle this problem. I'm going to think of the worst case scenarios and how I can get out of it. I'm going to do everything I can to make it happen. And I feel like the societal hustle culture has kind of contributed to people not doing their freak the fuck out moment. I think there's some people that have pushed this culty mentality of don't think negatively, only think positively. You're going to let in bad karma if you think negatively. No! And let my emotions get out of my body and expel them out first. Because then I feel like I have more energy and capacity to take in positive perspectives and be like, I am going to be okay. I am going to get through this. And this helped me so much because I don't like the idea of just being negative all the time. I don't think that helps you out, but I also don't like the idea of keeping all of your emotions in because I don't think that's helpful either. I don't think you're going to be able to think clearly if you haven't let your emotions out properly. So finding that balance of doing this is so helpful. And I also think it's helpful to communicate to your friends and family if you're going through stuff, because then it kind of lets them know like, okay, she just needs a moment to like vent and be pissed, because sometimes we don't need advice. We know what we need to do after. We just need to freak the fuck out, let it out, be like, hi, thank you so much for letting me vent. I'm going to go take care of my problem. But doing that, I think, is the healthiest way when you do have a bump on the road or a really bad situation and circumstance. Let yourself feel those emotions fully. And then after that, zone in whatever you got to do, figure out, because the way that you can get creative and get motivated of, I am going to get through this. I am going to feel better. I am going to tackle this problem. And that kind of brings me to my fifth mindset change, is start working on a serious belief in yourself and your capacity. I think there are too many people who genuinely don't believe that they're capable of stuff. And that breaks my heart, or they give up too quickly. I see so many people who, perfect example, start a YouTube channel and they give up after a while. They're like, nah, I don't think I could do it. No, they second guess themselves. After a few hate comments, like, fuck it, maybe I'm not good enough for this. They literally let the belief in themselves just disappear. And if you strengthen that, I don't think there's anything you can't do. I think if you have that intense belief, you can go anywhere. And that's what happened with me personally. The second I started really nurturing that belief in myself, and I'm like, Bella, you can make this happen. It might sound fucking insane on that vision board. It might sound a little bit wild for you to do, or that's going to take a while for you to get there. I don't care if it takes me 5 years, 10 years, 30 years. I have such a strong belief in myself that I know I'm going to make everything I want happen. I know I'm going to figure it out. I know I'm an incredibly smart person. I know that the world does not stop and nothing will end. I know that I can change and I'm a resilient human being, but I couldn't just say it. I needed to really, really, really believe it. And I had to work on that confidence and self-belief and the self-validation to be like, I can do it. And it's really hard because so many of us kind of fall into, that perspective, like we had at the beginning of this video, where we perceive the external validation as our self-worth and self-image and like, oh, that's who we are. If you would depend on everyone else to tell you who you are, you're never going to really know who you are deep down. You're never going to know what you're capable of, because you are only going to go as far as the other people's limits that they've set onto you or on themselves. That's not worth it. And once I really clocked that in, I was like, if I keep giving a shit about what all these weird people out on the internet say about me and they're being rude, I'm only going to be as great, as big, and as wonderful as they perceive me to be. And I know I'm not that. I know I'm more than that. I know I can do more. And working on that image and working on that belief system in myself and be like, I am capable. I can do that. And working on truly, truly believing it made it to where it was easier when those hate comments came. It was easier when I had people that doubted me, because I'm like, okay, well, you doubt me, but I don't. And that is so beautiful to be able to be like, you think that that's too big of a dream because you think that's too big for you. I don't think that's too big for me, though. That doesn't mean, like, just because you have a limit on where you can go doesn't mean I have a limit on where I can go. And I feel like I've curated such a strong belief system in myself that it doesn't fucking matter what anyone says. Because sure, again, if I have a bad comment, I'm gonna feel it fully, feel like shit about it, and be like, fuck it, I'm fine. Rationalize the thoughts, remind myself who I am, and get out there. It's gonna be easier to bounce back and create a resilience in you that truly no one can touch. And I think that's amazing. So there you have it, you guys. Those are my 5 mindset changes that I've really worked on and still are working on to this day that have quite literally changed my life. And I hope you guys enjoy. It has been such a good video. I'm so glad that I can make this. Comment down below if you guys want maybe another 5 of the mindset shifts that I highly recommend. But these are my top ones right now that have quite literally changed the game. So thank you guys so much for watching today's episode. I am so excited to bring you guys more episodes. So much more is coming. I'm beyond proud of this podcast. I'm proud of everything that I'm making, the rebrand that I've been able to do with this content, the way that I can give more information to you, and that I have got you quite literally on this page. So thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to leave a 5-star review on the podcast. And also don't forget that I have got you and I have always got you. All right, I will see you guys later. Bye.